And hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Plug Talk Sports, episode 185. We've got Brandon H. We've got myself, Danny Torres, and we got Jonka Don't Stop. Well, today's podcast episode is going to start. We're going to get right into it. I told the guys this is a topic wasn't on our rundown, but just scrolling through X right before getting on this episode, I said, hey, we got to talk about this. This is a pressing matter. This is something that's relevant right now, ongoing in sports media. And that is the feud between Ryan Clark and RG3 about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Let me set the stage here, guys. So, obviously, Caitlin Clark with a hard foul on Angel Reese, which, to be honest, yeah, it was a hard foul. But to be honest, I think Angel flopped a little bit, but whatever. And Angel Reese went after her, said some words towards Caitlin Clark, who was unbothered by the moment or whatever. Two double technicals were assessed. And RG3, after this game, said that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, which I think was, one, I will say is wrong because hate's a very, very strong word. And then we have Ryan Clark responding to RG3 today and saying that RG3 is not qualified to talk about Angel Reese because he is married to a white woman. And Caitlin Clark is not the face of the WNBA, that she's the important player of the league, but not the face of the WNBA. That the face of the WNBA is Asia Wilson. So, without further ado, here's my take on it. This is why ESPN is losing ratings. Why does it have to be about race? Why does your accreditation get taken away whether you're black or whether you're white? Oh, you can't talk about this specific, athlete or this specific sport because you're not black or you're not white. So you don't understand each other. Like, let's just debate sports. Let's just talk about sports. Why does this situation have to get into race and talking about each other's wives or family members? I just don't understand it. Who knows if there's going to be any sort of repercussion from ESPN to Ryan Clark or any one of these guys. I just think it's stupid. I decided to talk about it tonight because I think it's getting really exhausting hearing the same thing from the little circle of guys. And we're talking about Ryan Clark, RG3, Emmanuel Acho. It always comes down to talking about sport. How about we talk about
Daniel, you're freezing.
what everyone loves?
It's not me, right, Brandon?
It's not you, but I'm going to continue what he was going to say though.
So outside are more than welcome.
Okay, but I totally agree with Danny though. I absolutely do agree with Danny though, because also for one point, it's gone to like a family part of the argument, which never was even like part of the conversation though for Clark. So I always find that so weird where you have, again, how the NBA had Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. This is kind of what the WNBA's version of it with, of course, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Of course, two different talents. I'll always try to, put it down as basically it's kind of like if Andre Drummond was pissed off at Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? I always like. I'm not saying Angel Reese is not that good of a player to be in conversation with Caitlin Clark, but I wouldn't say she's the top option of the WNBA right now. Great player for Chicago. Obviously the Sky, great organization with D Wade, but talent-wise, they got blown up by 40. So there's some players that obviously, have that type of level where you have Caitlin Clark always in the news media, and Angel Reese apparently is always in the news media whenever Caitlin Clark's mentioned. So I think they kind of already answered the whole discussion right there. Still, for Clark and RG3 to be in that whole conversation with ESPN, Who knows exactly if there's going to be repercussions? I mean, obviously, we already saw what's going on with Sharp. We already saw what happened with Paul Pierce many moons ago. So there's always going to be some sort of personality just losing it on social media, unfortunately, with ESPN. But it's real odd to bring that up in this conversation.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the same boat with. I think for anybody like many people like me, Daniel, Brandon, but I'm just low key already. I'm like not even low key, just like I'm already like kind of like fed up with if one person says anything bad about a certain topic and it brings up race, I just immediately turn off the TV because I'm just not in the mood. It does hurt the ratings because it's like, buddy, can we just go back to the sports center where all the topics were lined up on the left side and then we were going bang bang bang. No more debate shows, no more this, no more that. ESPN top 10, not top 10. Funniest moments, Shaq did a fool. Like where why can't we go back to that ESPN? Why does everything have to be so political nowadays? Now to the whole thing with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I think for anybody that's been here for a while, but I'm just gonna say reiterate my stance on this for anybody that's new. I think Angel Reese is kind of I don't want to say anything incorrect, but the way she comes off is kind of like arrogant. Not to say that Caitlin Clark, I from what I've seen from Caitlin Clark, she didn't come off that way. Not because she's because of her race or anything, just because how it's being portrayed on TV and from what I've seen nationally. But it's just the cockiness, the thing that she's like the most important thing in the entire league. She can't make layups. She misses her own layups. She gets her own rebounds, and then she screams about having double doubles every game. Like, I'm sorry, Angel, you suck. Sorry, just put it out there, you suck. Like, Katie Clark is 100 trillion times better than you in every step of the game. She's getting better. She blew you out by nearly 40 game one of the season. Like, where was that prep? Where was your skill set being improved this offseason? You still can't shoot. You still can't dribble. You can't like Kaden Clark blocked you, I think, twice last game. Like, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Like, you're not a top player in the league. Like, you got Serena Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, Elijah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Kaylin Clark. Now you got Paige Buchers coming in, Haley Van Lith, Cameron Brink coming back from last season. I don't see Angel Reese being better than any of those players. So I don't know where her stance on that, but when it comes to the race thing, I'm kind of getting already sick of it. Just show me on the court that you're better than the other player, and then we can move on. But when it comes to that foul, Angel Reese literally shoved, I forgot her name, in the back, and then Kayla Clark points it out to the ref. The ref doesn't blow the whistle. You got to continue to play the game until the whistle's blown. There we go. Angel Reese gets the ball. The whistle's not blown. And Kayla Clark is like, I'm not gonna give up an easy 2 points. Foul. Oh, she decides to flop. Like, because let's be honest here, laws of physics. If you're going up and I'm pushing down, there should be no reason that you're falling to the floor like this. That's how science works, buddy. So
I have to say that has to be the best Angel Reese rant I've ever heard in my life. So far, the best. I mean, not the best player, can't rebound, gets the rebound, misses the shots, can't hit layups. That was the best rant I've heard in a long while.
Were you guys okay? Sorry, first of all, sorry for the technical. I have no idea what the heck happened there, but were you guys able to hear my full and complete point?
A little bit of it.
We were like, it was like, like you're kind of like beatboxing and all.
I'll finish my point here, but yeah, I just don't understand it. Why can't we get back to the basics of why we all do what we do? And that is talking about sports. We love sports. And that's what people love too. Let's get back to debating sports and enjoying the game and enjoying these athletes. I think the losers in this situation is Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, because they're literally being pulled to hate each other because Ryan Clark and RG3, want to bring the word hate, which is a strong word, into it. and putting each other, or Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark against each other, and then again, with Ryan Clark or Emmanuel Acho or even RG3, it's always about race, and I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Let's just talk about sports. Why is it that when we talk about an athlete, and we're talking about the athlete, we're not even talking about the person? It becomes, hey, you're losing your accreditation. You can't talk about that or you can't talk about that athlete because you're not black or you're not white, or you can't talk about her because which by the way, RG3 is a black man. You can't talk about that because you're married to a white woman. Like, what? It's crazy to me. I don't know if ESPN is going to take any action, but it's absolutely crazy that we're sitting here talking about sports and talking about athletes, and we're bringing up people's wives, and then you can't talk about a specific athlete's game or situation because you're not their same skin color. Absolutely wild that we have to hear that from Ryan Clark's mouth.
Yeah, just unfortunate.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good damn rant, Jonka, I will say.
Yeah, it was a great rant. It was a great rant. But I would also mention, though, because again, for me, I think the biggest thing is just, one, why even mention the man's wife? And two, the HR department at ESPN has to be like in a whirlwind every single year. I don't know what it is with the talent that they have over there at ESPN. Maybe it's with the athletes joining on as, basically journalists. But, I mean, it's just crazy. There's always a new story out of them. I just don't understand it.
I pictured that HR department as like that SpongeBob episode where like he's trying to figure out the new menu with the fancy restaurant. It's all chaos in there.
Well, with that topic, which by the way, if you want to read a recap of the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, Jonka wrote a great recap. It's out on our website. You guys can check it out. But let's talk about what a glorious Sunday night it was. Indeed, it was. It wasn't so at Maple Leaf Square in downtown Toronto, streets that know me and Jonka all too well, as we walked beautifully through downtown Toronto with our Stanley Cup champion shirts and Florida Panthers jerseys. Heck, who knows? If we take the cup this year, we might find Jonka and myself back in downtown Toronto going to that museum once again. Who knows? But yeah, Scotiabank Arena, it was silent, but it rang into boos for the Maple Leafs and throwing their jerseys onto the ice. As Stephen A. said it, they're the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL, which it kind of hurts me because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. But once again, the Maple Leafs cannot get past a Game 7, another 6-1 scoreline. The Panthers looked calm. They weren't rattled. This is not their first rodeo in a Game 7, and they find themselves in the third straight Eastern Conference Finals starting tomorrow night against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I'm telling you, though, whenever I watch this Panther team, it's like make or break with them. It's make or break. If it wasn't for the turnaround on Game 3, I don't know how this series would have gone, especially with Toronto, who hasn't been in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2002? You know? This is a team, a franchise with a city that hasn't won a championship since 1967. The last team to win professionally over there in that city was the Toronto Raptors, where Kawhi Leonard just happened to make a stop during his career. I truly do believe, though, because obviously I was thinking about it, that team, I don't know if Martin's going to come back. I don't know if Matthew's going to come back. They might just start shipping guys around and blow it up. They might find it that it's a lot of, and I say the same thing with Inter Miami, it's a lot of personalities, but not a lot of chemistry. All right? It's a lot of names, but it's not a team. I just don't really see this Toronto squad making it through the Eastern Conference, where you have the Panthers who, I mean, as Danny said, 3 straight Eastern Conference final trips. And then on top of that, you got guys who have been there since, their draft day, like Barkov, and as well, Kachuk, Ekblad, guys who have gone through deep playoff routes. Toronto and their players, what is the most veteran output that they have? Like, do they even have a guy that's like, yes, he can push us through to the next level? And unfortunately, in this series, I mean, again, they look phenomenal the first 2 games, but their goaltender gets himself hurt. Wool is over there at net. Joseph Wool, I feel bad for the guy. We're talking about a backup being pushed in a situation where your team's dropping games left to right. I mean, what is it, like 3 straight wins for the Panthers. They end up getting 1 on home ice for Florida and Sunrise winning at 2-0 in Game 6. That's about it. There was no fight from this series. And then 5 and 7, those games, 6-1 outputs. That says Florida screaming to the league, we're still the defending champs, and we're still going to go through the East like nothing.
Hey, I said last week that if we had Ekblad, Game 1, this series would have been over. This series would have been completely different. You had one player can make a difference in this sport, and all it takes is one deflection, one something, and a goal is taken back. And I think Game 1 was a 1-goal difference.
Yep. 5-4.
Anything can change it in a win from one player, and not having Ekblad there in our defense kind of did hurt us. But we ended up winning that game. And I told you, once you saw the Toronto fans saying we want Carolina, they were already skipping Florida, not even paying attention. They were not focused. And then guess what? Drake put a bet on Toronto, and we already know once Drake puts a bet on the certain team, the other team is going to win.
Well, Justin Bieber and Haley Bieber also showed up to Game 7, so that's another curse.
It's a horrible sports curse town, man. You got Bieber and Drake in the same building. That's just nasty work. As much as bad as it was, as the Panthers putting 6 in the 6. So there's no other way to say it. It's just poetic justice at its best.
Do you think that this series should have gone 7 games?
No.
Does that put any concern in you that this dragged out to 7 games?
I wouldn't really say that it puts too much concern. Again, Toronto, I'm not going to say, that Toronto was a horrible team, that the Panthers should have easily swept this team. This was a good Leafs squad. The Maple Leafs, they were having one of their better years. Yeah. They had a home ice as well.
Won the division.
Exactly, won the division. This is a squad that, unfortunately, as I said before, I just don't imagine it being, together through an offseason. But this was a really hard matchup for the Cats. But going through this one, I can't imagine them having too much difficulty against Carolina and Rayleigh. I really don't see much concerns. Now, the only thing I would say is, with Ekblad, though, because this is a guy that missed a few games just because of the hits he's been doing. You know what I mean? So maybe, again, that's just the Panthers being more aggressive. Maybe that might be just something where it's like the guys, boost up the locker room a little bit, getting some hits on some guys. But that's a little bit of a concern to me because if we're going to talk about, we're going to have to worry about Ekblad, who's already gotten suspensions here and there through series. If there's going to be a big moment, as Jonka said, where one player makes a difference on the first to fourth line, if we don't have Ekblad or these other guys, that the league's going to be like, yeah, he did that move last series. He's gone for Game 5 or a crucial Game 6 or whatever against Carolina, and we're going to have to see what we do with that. So that's my only concern. But besides that, the Panthers should cruise. They should cruise to another Stanley Cup final appearance.
I'm not going to say we're going to cruise just because I never really like to underestimate an opponent. They made it this far, so I'm not going to disrespect them. But at the same time, Panthers were traveling from South Florida to Toronto, every other couple days. So that's already kind of the traveling is going to hurt them. But now you're going from South Florida to Raleigh, North Carolina. That traveling distance is way shorter.
More sunnier.
That right there changes things completely for us. With no jet lag, no this, no that, no sleep paralysis or whatever you want to call things, sleepless nights or no. Now we're talking, bro, and we're gonna guess what? I'm predicting it right now. We win the series 4-1.
I have to agree with Brandon. I think that this was a tough match. Toronto played well. They really did, and I think they really gave some competition and fight to the Panthers, despite those 2 6-1 score lines and 5 and 7. They were difficult. They weren't easy. They weren't an easy team to get through. But looking at it on paper, this was the hard series. And I think that Florida has too many weapons and outmatches Carolina when you look at it on paper.
Plus, Marchand is cooking right now, so
he is cooking. He is cooking. And honestly, because I tweeted about this the other day with Seth Jones, the trade deadline moves that Florida did with Zito. The guy's an absolute legend, probably one of the most successful GMs ever to grace South Florida. Him getting Seth Jones and Marshawn, that was probably the biggest thing for this playoff run. It's a revamped locker room, not changing a lot of things. I mean, like, what do we get? Like, Marshawn was what, like a draft pick here and there? And, all of a sudden we have ourselves like a future Hall of Famer, basically, on a roster that's already, cup guarantee. So, honestly, I actually have it like in 6 games because at Carolina themselves, we swept them. So it's a kind of that fire up them. And then also it's more of a revamped team. They brought some more pieces in over the offseason. And another team that's gone through the Eastern Conference. Like 5 games for the Capitals. I did not expect that at all. I thought Ovechkin was on a hot streak with Washington. I honestly thought it was going to be a really deep series. That wasn't. That was a sleeper series. In other words, you put on TNT for white noise. So Carolina was even to go through that series. Panthers should go through 6 games, though. I think I got Cats in 6 in that one.
I'm going to agree with Brandon. I'll go Cats in 6. And I really thought that today we'd probably be talking about Panthers and Capitals. I really thought that was going to be the Eastern Conference Finals, which I'm not going to lie to you. Capitals had the Cats number throughout this season. So it was going to be interesting. But I got the Cats in 6. Now, I will ask you guys, they just finished playing a Game 7 yesterday. Series starts tomorrow night, so they most likely flew from Toronto to Carolina. Do you prefer having rest as Carolina has had, or do you prefer having no rest and getting right into it?
I'm actually kind of like the opposite. I'd rather be warmed up than be kind of like out, like with the same thing. We're gonna get into it later, but Indiana Pacers having like a week and a half, 2 weeks of rest because they're waiting for the series to end. I kind of like being warmed up, already being battle tested. Having gone through the warm ups already, having played a game already. Once you go through a week and a half of not playing a sport, even if it's like for fun, you could tell that you're like, okay, I'm rusty. Like, oh, okay, I'm not as fluid as I'm supposed to be. I think we take game 1, and depending on what happens game 2, that will determine the series a little bit.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way because again, game 1 and 2 was within like what, 3-day span of each other. Game 1 Tuesday, game 2 going to be Thursday. If you're hot, 3 days, I mean, you're not going to cool down. Let's just be honest. For Carolina to be waiting all this time, on the ice, they might be a little bit sluggish in that first period, trying to get things going. I mean, the Cats are red hot. They're red hot. I mean, you're talking about a 4-1 at the end of the series going against Toronto from basically game 3 beyond. I'm expecting them to keep that same type of pressure. In Carolina, you're going to see in the first 2 periods, the legs are just going to be a little, like, got to stretch them out a little bit. Got to stretch them out. And losing one on the road, and trust me, as a Celtic fan, I tell you this from experience. You give up one on the road and home court or home ice, it's hard to even climb back in a series. So I like to see my guys hot.
Yeah, I agree with the both of you. I've seen across so many sports, you could be the number 1 seed. You come into a game after having days or maybe a week off, and you're facing a team that just got off of a tough series and pretty much had no rest, maybe just a day, 24 hours of rest, and they're ready to go while you just got to kind of, all right, we're still in this mode of like we've been at the beach for a week relaxing with a margarita or pina colada in your hand. And all right, wake up, we're here, Eastern Conference Final. Like, let's go. So to have that adrenaline and that energy, I like that. So I prefer the quick turnaround and get things going compared to the long period of rest. Anything else you guys want to add to that? Or we're good?
I would say one thing. Again, Cats in 6. But I will say this for the Western Conference side of things. I'm praying Dallas wins it. I'm praying Dallas makes it through because I do not want to see McDavid in another Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you're right about that. I do not want to see, as I call him in Spanish, Connor McNieda. I do not want to see Connor McDavid once again in the Stanley Cup final. It's just, listen, I already have anxiety as it is. I take homeopathic and insomnia drops to go to sleep. I don't want to be, another game 7 like it was last year between the Oilers and the Panthers. I don't want to go through that again.
When is the first game? I know tomorrow's the Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday's
Wednesday.
game
Wednesday for the Western Conference.
at 8. Okay. Oof. Oh man, I'm excited.
Who do you got, Jonka?
I low-key want Edmonton again, bro.
Oh.
I low-key want Edmonton again. Because you know why? Because I'm low-key kind of sinister, bro. Because if we get Edmonton again, we beat their ass again, I want to see them cry. I want to see them drop to their knees and beg.
I don't know. I don't think Gary Betterman is gonna be like, how like everyone says like, oh, the WWE is rigged or like the NBA is rigged. If the NHL is rigged,
well,
there you go. NHL just answered.
NHL said, "Hey, we don't want to talk about any games being rigged here." Okay, we'll wait till Brandon comes back. Let's get into the NBA topic. We've got our conference finals set. From the West, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh, man, Jonka, I was so close to having the Denver Nuggets, as I predicted, making it to the Western Conference Finals. So we have the battle between those two, and then the East side of things, we've got the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, which, to be honest, I don't think anybody had that prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals. So what do you think, man? I mean, I would say Timberwolves. I would say Timberwolves to the finals.
Based off how we saw OKC play in the
guys, I cannot make this up. The NHL might be rigged. Gary Betterman nearly silenced me by taking my laptop out of battery. They might be rigged. We might have Edmonton Panthers confirmed, guys.
Well,
Hey,
Jonka literally said as soon as you went off, Jonka goes, "Well, there you go. The NHL has answered." Well, Brandon, we were just getting into the NBA. We're talking about the conference finals. I'm going to ask you a question in a bit, but Jonka was saying a statement. I was saying that I think we might get the Minnesota Timberwolves in the finals.
Yeah. The way I saw OKC play and how they struggled
against Denver,
bro. They went 7 games. I mean, no shade to Denver. Like, they play. Jokic is like the heart and soul of that team. I know Aaron Gordon had a phenomenal series, but unfortunately he got injured, and I think that was like the tipping point of OKC winning that series. But also Michael Porter Jr. did not show up that series. He was absolutely atrocious, and that also kind of like hurt them in a way. Russell Westbrook didn't really show up. Jamal Murray, supposed to be the second star of the team, he wasn't really there this series. And plus, like, the Denver Broncos, want to say, the Denver Nuggets also fired their head coach 3 days before the regular season ended, and the series still went 7 games. Like, guys, like, let's be honest here. Is OKC really that good, or are we just overhyping them? Because I'm serious though, because everything I just said, like everything that's happened with the Denver Nuggets, and they fired their head coach, and the series went 7 games. Like, this is alarming. No offense to any OKC fans out there, but like, it is kind of alarming that if you can't win it this season, buddy, may Lord have mercy on your soul for the rest of the years to come, because the league is coming for you, and Ant-Man is coming for you. I got the Timberwolves winning in 6.
Wow.
I don't think it might go 7.
Look, I honestly do believe, and I said this in the first round for basically the entire Western Conference Finals. My apologies, Western Conference itself. What teams have defense? Do the Lakers have defense?
Nope.
Do the Golden State Warriors have defense? Most likely not.
They do. They do.
The Draymond Green.
No, but let's be honest here. Wait. But let's be honest here. If Steph Curry plays that series, Golden State wins that series.
Look, maybe, or it goes more than 5 games. All I'm gonna
Okay,
know
okay.
is that Rudy Gobert, for some reason, has looked like one of the best centers in the Western Conference throughout this entire playoff run. I mean, let alone he took over Game 5 against the Lakers, and then out of nowhere, we have him as a huge piece going against Golden State. I think when you have him against Chet Holmgren, I think Holmgren's going to take him to class, the younger kid, and I love Chet Holmgren, loved him since Gonzaga.
No
All
way.
right, the guy has perimeter shooting. He can go pick and pot. I honestly love the offensive abilities of OKC, but also the defensive abilities, as Seba brought Chet, Jalen Williams. They have wings with size. And from your point about Denver, I mean, again, this isn't the 2023 Nuggets. No one's
No.
saying that, you know. But Christian Braun was playing good. Jamal Murray had a pretty good series. I mean, if you look at Joker had a 40-plus game in this series. You know, so this wasn't a team that was just, slowly dragging itself, doing with his own issues, even though, of course, Coach Malone is no longer with that team. Actually, funny enough, because we were talking about it on the top of the hour, he's going to ESPN as basically an analysis for the Western Conference Finals, but I think it's hilarious. But with that being said, OKC as one of the 4 teams right now left in the NBA, where 2 of these teams have never even seen basically the finals gold, like the finished product of what a championship should look like. 2 teams that never won a championship in the Final Four right now between the East and West of the NBA, and OKC hasn't won one ever since they were the Seattle Supersonics. I think this is the team to do it. I think they're the best team out of the 4, and I'm not saying they are going to do it because I like what's going on in the East. I know we're going to talk about that very soon, but I honestly do have OKC winning this much easier than people think. I had them in 5.
In 5?
In 5. I like Minnesota. I think defensively, of course, like McDaniels is great. Rudy Gobert. And Julius Randle is honestly, this might be one of the best Julius Randle's years we can see.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
But I look at it where it's offensively, how much is Anthony Edwards going to put in, And also, what is it going to look like when you have like wings, like a Jalen Williams or even Alex Caruso, who are heavy on-ball defenders? I'm really curious what that matchup's going to be like for Minnesota, having to face that man-to-man. And for those reasons, there's going to have to be another outlier there. And I don't think Rudy Gobert is going to be the next outlier for Minnesota, unless Julius Randle puts up 30 with DiVincenzo a night. So that's what I think would most likely happen.
Brandon, I have a friend who most people across the world, or majority of people across the world, know who he is.
Me?
We have a whole holiday. No, not you. Have a whole holiday, after him. His name is Jesus. And I think that we should be praying for you because that was wasn't that really something, Jonka, that we just heard there? That was really something.
Hey, that was as bold as the other Brandon with the Bengals, bro.
OKC was like the best team since November. You can't blame me for that take.
That was really something.
Those Adidas commercials are speaking to you guys. Those Adidas commercials are yelling at you guys. The way you're talking about Anthony Edwards. The guy is not MJ, okay? The guy is not MJ. He might look a little bit like MJ, but he's not MJ.
Bro, you got Ant-Man, McDaniels, Nas Reed, Julius Randle, and Gobert.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Buddy,
you followed that up with McDaniels. That's awesome. But, dude, I'm telling you, you got an MVP shy on the other end, okay? You got an all-star Jalen Williams who's been balling out like crazy. All right, Chet Holmgren. Not a lot of people are on this train. I have bought so much stock in Chet Holmgren since draft night, and I'm honestly loving what I'm seeing. When he's not hurt, he's like one of the better guys on the court in the NBA. That guy, when he got out of college, I already called him the next level KD. That's what I think of him. And then playing him at center, all right? I honestly like this OKC team. This is a good young OKC team. It reminds me, honestly, of like, I hate to say it because obviously they didn't win it, but like a 2018 type of Boston Celtics group where it was like young, but you saw the talent there. You saw the future. They might be early. They might be real early.
Jonka, we live in a world where a team with Karl Anthony Towns on it actually eliminated the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
All right.
Yeah.
Actually,
To
you know
the
what?
New York.
Damn, bro, that's just like.
That's
Yeah.
bad. That's.
Yeah.
I
You know what?
mean,
Because I wasn't even here for the last pod because I was losing my mind over what happened.
oh yeah, that's right.
You
Go
remember
ahead.
that?
I want to break this down for you guys. So
Yes, this was
obviously
the
I don't have.
question I wanted. This is the question I wanted to ask you. Break it down for us. What went wrong? What happened? Break it
Went
down.
wrong. Went wrong.
Went wrong. So I'm gonna break it down with a little scenario from Game 4. Obviously, I have no cable in my house, so I'm stuck with watching the Above the Rim broadcast on ESPN Plus. I got a friend I'm on a Discord call with, who knows I hate spoilers to the death of me. Now, you can spoil a TV show, you can spoil a movie. Don't spoil a live basketball game, especially with Celtics playoffs. He yells in my ear while the Celtics are trying to make a comeback in Game 4. Oh, season-ending injury. It's over for JT. What do you mean it's over for JT? I saw this man from a turnover, mind you, a turnover that Jaylen Brown caused. He goes over the ball, ruptured, tears up the Achilles. He's on the floor spinning around in pain. The Iron Man for the Celtics goes down. And from that moment, I just think to myself, man, why did we get here? Why did we go here? But then I also remember asking myself that same question in Game 1 and 2. Man, how did we get here in overtime when we had a 20-point lead? Man, how did we get here with losing by 3 and JB being basically locked down by Mikal Bridges when we're up by 20? How did we get here? I'm telling you right now, I've never seen the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau's actions actually working deep in the playoffs. It might be the first time ever, because I've been a big critique about this. I really don't believe in teams that have no depth. I don't believe you can have guys for 35 plus minutes on the floor and say, yeah, these guys will be healthy, ready to go for the NBA Finals. I don't believe that. I saw in Game 6 this psychopath, Tom Thibodeau, have Karl-Anthony Towns check back into the game up 40. Up 40 with 3 minutes left, have Cat check back into the game to take out Josh Hart. And Sam Hauser and Torrey Craig were on the floor. This guy's an absolute psychopath, a maniac. All right? And I thought Joe Mazzulla was bad at with basketball psychopathic levels. This guy's on a whole different level. Tim should be locked up in a penitentiary somewhere the way that he was playing the New York Knicks. But it worked out. For some reason, down in the fourth quarter, Mikal Bridges' mid-range game was automatic. OG Anunoby was on a different tear second half-wise. And again, this is a series where, of course, Jalen Brunson, who puts up 25, 29, 30, whatever points a game, this wasn't a Jalen Brunson takeover series. This was let the wings work. Let these guys at Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby get to work against JT and Jaylen Brown. And also on the Celtics side of things, Porzingis is dealing with a mystery illness. I have no idea what's going on with that. All I know is it's respiratory. All right. He was inexistent in this playoffs. Drew Holiday had maybe a game in this series. Derek White had 2 games in this series. But besides that, I mean, the only person I thought that was consistent was probably Jaylen Brown and Tatum until, of course, the lower body injury, which I'm pretty sure we all do agree. We hope that he has a speedy recovery for that. He'll probably be back hopefully by at least February. There's no timetable yet officially reported. But for the Celtics themselves, it honestly just came down to the 3-point shooting and the fact that the Knicks just couldn't slow down. They couldn't stop in that second half. I mean, that team does not get tired. I tell you right now, there was guys in Game 6 who still had the sweatpants and the warm-up jackets and all that stuff. They went through a 6 to 7-man rotation. Precious Achiuwa went into games when the Knicks were up by 30, and there was only one game they went up by 30. I've never seen anything like this in basketball. This is probably the most Tom Thibodeau team, and the first time I've seen a Tom Thibodeau team where the star players aren't literally dying by the hospital bed. It's insanity to watch.
Chaka, you want to take care of him first?
Hey.
Wow. Take care is crazy.
All I know is that game was over by the halftime, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Tibbs didn't. Well, tell Tibbs that. He had Jalen Brunson in there until the last 3 minutes.
And second of all, Tim should not be put in a psychiatric hospital. He should be invited to Enriqueta's and have a pan comité with me because I love that stuff right there. He's putting salt on a huge wound, and he's the one that shot. He's the one that created the wound. I love it. The Celtics are done. They're gonna disband this entire team. I'm sorry, Brandon, for you,
I
but
wouldn't. I wouldn't
you're
go
gonna
that
have to
far.
you're gonna have to wait probably another decade until you maybe you guys are contenders again.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm telling you right now. Now, honestly, this is the interesting part because on the post interviews of the season, Drew Holiday says that he wants to stay with the Celtics, but even though there's a lot of people saying that he honestly might get moved for the books, I think Porzingis might be gone after this offseason. And
I
again,
would.
he's given us a championship, and I'm thinking health-wise, it might be better for Boston. I mean, he had to deal with a bunch of injuries throughout the season, and then now all of a sudden you got mystery illnesses taking tolls. So I think he gets moved. But knowing Brad Stevens, now, if this was Danny Ainge, Tatum would probably been moved like 2 years ago if it was Danny Ainge still in that front office. Knowing that it's Brad Stevens, he's going to do everything in his power to bring all these guys back in. Like, we got Derek White re-signed for a few years. Tatum and Brown, obviously, you're going to be booked in past 2027 or so. But Porzingis should be gone. I don't know what we're going to do with Sam Hauser. But a lot of guys they're going to stick with this team. Are they going to contend next year? Depends how the East looks.
They thought that the Celtics were going to be a dynasty. Boy, were they wrong. They lost to the team. This is like any team that's going to lose to the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. The team that struggles to get past anywhere, hasn't been any sort of relevance since 1973, is the team that takes out the defending champion, Boston Celtics. Oh, it's glorious. It's only fitting that New York did it. I mean, aside from Miami. If Miami would have done it, it would have been glorious. But aside from Miami, New York did it, and it was absolutely beautiful. Obviously, prayers to Jason Tatum, because we don't want anyone to get injured. That was a bad injury. But then we got Jaylen Brown was playing with a torn meniscus through the series. So all that's coming out after.
That's every single
After-
year they say that. There's always a okay. I guess we're celebrating it.
Look, they're celebrating.
No, but I'm telling you, every single year, like LeBron after like a whole playoff run was like, oh, I had a broken foot or something like that. It's always like a player that's always dealing with something. You know what I mean? Like that's not new. I don't know why people are using this as a whole conversation.
Either you tell us while the series is going, or don't say it at all. Don't tell us after the fact.
We all sat here and thought, well, brother Brandon, who's missing in action, he didn't want to show up tonight because he's in the beach somewhere in Naples, and didn't want to talk about little Boston Celtics. Man, we all sat here and thought, oh, Boston's gonna make the finals again. They're gonna run right through the East. There was a team in the Big Apple called the New York Knicks that put a pause to those plans. And you know what? I don't want Tim Thibodeau to be in a penitentiary locked up. I applaud him. I thank him for taking out the most obnoxious fan base in the entire NBA. Thank you. He should be knighted. Sir Thibodeau.
It's funny enough that I remember the day. It was me and Brandon. We were at a UM football game, and it was I think it was Virginia Tech, and it was that same day that the trade was announced that Karl Anthony Towns was traded to the Knicks.
And we didn't understand.
And funny enough, this is what happens.
The crazy part was, but let me tell you though, I love the fact because again, I love how like the Celtics rivalry has grown over the years, especially in like this century, because it's the fact that I got Heat fans applauding the Knicks, historical rival, a Pat Riley rival. It's gone that sour. Man.
It's beautiful. We also applauded Minnesota for taking Jimmy out. But hey, Brandon, it's okay. You know why, Brandon? You know why it's okay? He found his joy again. That's all that matters. He found his joy in playing basketball.
He found his new coffee shop location right next to the overpriced Teslas and the overpriced condos. He thought it was bad in Brickell. I guess it gets worse.
All right. So for the East, so I got Minnesota in 7. Jonka, you said Minnesota in 6. Brandon is surprisingly going OKC in 5. The East, we got the Knicks or the Pacers.
I love this series because
I don't
I'm telling you right now, it's the last TNT broadcast series for the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
And the last time that these two faced off, like an X amount plus 20 some years ago, it was a TNT broadcast with the same crew. I think it's honestly exactly how it should be. Last time it was Indiana taking it. I have the Knicks taking it. I think that this team is a firecracker just going to happen. Mikal Bridges is hot mid-range. Jalen Brunson, obviously, we know what he does offensively. OG is honestly the make or break guy in this series. If he can come in, and I expect him to be on Pascal Siakam like crazy throughout this series, hopefully. Of course, you have Pascal going as a front court guy next to Miles Turner. I'm expecting OG to be on Pascal nonstop, and he's going to struggle. So you're going to have Nembhard, Naismith, and Halliburton having to deal with things. I honestly think it's going to be too much. I have New York winning it in 6. It's going to be deep. I'm not going to say that they're going to win out like crazy, but I'd be shocked to see Indiana take a game in New York. I'd be shocked to see them win a game in New York in this series. And you can put a guarantee on that. They will not win a game in New York.
How big of a guarantee are we talking?
Huge guarantee. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a betting man like that, but if you got to save his account, let's double it. All right? Let's double it. Put on New York instantly.
Listen, I want to pick New York. I do. I really do. But there's something inside me that the Pacers are so gritty. They're so gritty, and they fight back. They don't care what anybody says, and they surprise people. And that's that factor that's scaring me. That is that factor that is scaring me. But I'm going to pick New York in 7.
In 7?
In 7.
Tough series.
I like Indiana. They have a lot of good players. I think they're just one star away from being like dangerous. But I just want to see Timberwolves versus Knicks just because of the blockbuster trade that happened in the offseason with Anthony Towns for DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. I think that will be absolute television. The drama the narrative will just be incredible.
The DiVincenzo's revenge game. The DiVincenzo revenge finals series.
The Villanova boys go again, bro. It's just like Indiana has just like they've done what they've had to do, and they've done it well. They have not really struggled. And I don't know, bro. I'm gonna say Knicks in 6. I'm gonna say Knicks in 6. I will not be shocked if it goes 7 games.
Yeah.
If it goes 7, all bets are off. I don't care who wins, but this is gonna be crazy.
All right, let's talk about the NFL schedule release in the final 10 minutes of tonight's show. Here's what we're gonna do. The 3 of us, we have our own teams. Obviously, Brandon with his Miami Dolphins, myself with the Dallas Cowboys, and Jonka, as you can already see, with his New England Patriots. We'll start with Brandon. Here's what we're going to do. Brandon, you're going to say the record you think the Dolphins are going to finish with, and then you'll go through the schedule and tell us which games are going to be a win or loss.
Okay, well, I will say this because my laptop's out of battery. So I'm not going to have the schedule available right next to me, though. But okay. If someone's able to read it, I'll be happy to go.
Jonka's got it. Jonka's got it.
All right.
Let's see. Miami Dolphins. All right. Here we go. Game 1. At Colts.
At Colts, it's going to be, honestly, similar to last season. It's going to be a close one down the stretch, but I think the Dolphins got that one on the road.
All right. Week 2 against my Patriots at home.
That one's going to be at Miami. Depending what the jersey outlook is going to look like, if they're playing the throwback jerseys, it's going to look real tough. But I honestly do have them losing that one. I think that you're going to have to at least go 1-1. And as much as I would like to see an early home victory, I'm not really seeing that early. It's going to be a new roster, new different type of feels. I got a 1-1 start.
Okay, then next week you play at Buffalo.
We don't even have to worry about the week. That's a loss. We don't have to worry about that week.
And then you come back home to play the New York Jets at 7:15 at night prime time.
First primetime game of the season. There's about, 5 of them, excluding the Madrid game. So I actually got that being a win, 2-2 record.
You go on to play at Carolina. Sneaky.
Should be a win. Should be an easy one. I think it's just too early for Bryce Young. I don't think they're going to explode in this year. I've seen people that say that Carolina's supposed to win the division, and like according to Fox, I don't see it. 3-2 record.
Go on to play at home versus the LA Chargers.
LA Chargers, this will be the second time we've seen at Hard Rock Herbert versus Tua. I still believe there's a big gap between Los Angeles Chargers and the Dolphins, and I think it's going towards the Dolphins' way. I actually got Miami winning that 4-2 record.
You go on to play at Browns.
That one, I think there's so much commotion going on in that franchise. I just can't book them to be competitive this year. It's just, when does that drop? I have them going 5-2. I think that's a win against Cleveland.
Yeah, with that one, I just need to know who's the starting quarterback, and then maybe we can make a decision.
Yeah, Shador behind Dylan Gabriel in reps, but that's for another conversation, though.
Now you go on to I think one of the sneakiest teams in the league. You play at Falcons.
So that one is going to be interesting because I do believe there will be a game where it's a head scratch how we lose that one, as there always is that game. But we don't play Tennessee this year, so I think this will be that game. I have a loss there, 5-3 record.
You going to play the Baltimore Ravens at home.
At home, that should be a primetime game as well.
It is.
Look, I have a weird feeling because the last primetime game against Baltimore, the Miami Dolphins were able to win. And that was when an old lineman who's no longer with the team did basically a touchdown that was called offensive. I think it was a flag against the offense. I don't remember the exact details, but it's going to be electric, similar to that. It's going to be a win for Miami. They're going to tough it out 6-3 on the record.
Now you go on to continue at home stretch is going to be the Buffalo Bills.
This one, I honestly do believe off the Baltimore win, off the Cleveland game, they should be on a roll because it was always about 3 weeks in the Dolphins season where they're just rolling through things. I think that's going to be a win there. I got 7-3 record for the Dolphins.
Going to play the Commanders at Madrid.
That will be a loss. I don't know why the NFL thinks that the Dolphins should be a designated travel team internationally. They did that with, against Kansas City for Miami, playing in London. That didn't work out at all. I don't think this is going to work out either for the first ever game in Spain. It's going to be a loss for the Dolphins. 7-4 record.
And then you head into a bye. And then off the bye, you go and play the Saints at home.
That one, if there's going to be a garbage that you just can bank a win, it's going to be New Orleans. It's going to be an 8-4 record for Miami.
Then you move on. This is where it kind of gets tricky for the Dolphins, usually around this time of the season where it gets cold and chilly. You're going at New York Jets.
At the Jets, as much as I don't believe in New York at all, I'm going to push the envelope here. I'm not saying I don't believe in them because they obviously beat Miami in the last week last year. I'm going to still keep that riding a little bit. No Aaron Rodgers, no Devontae Adams. It's an unknown roster. I don't think they know each other, let alone their identity. I got Miami winning that. 9-win Miami so far.
You go to at Steelers at primetime.
That will be a loss. That will be a loss on the road, deep like that, late in the year. That will be a loss.
Then you go to play at home versus the Bengals. Primetime again.
That one, I wish the other Brandon was here because I know this will probably be around the time where Cincinnati should have clinched the division. But I think that will be a win for the Dolphins, though. I think 10 wins right there would be pretty good. If their defense tells me otherwise, I can't really see Miami having a hard time scoring against them.
That's bold. Then you go and play at home, stay at home to play the Buccaneers.
That one will be a loss. I think that Tampa's going to win that division, the NFC South. And I mean, we saw them the past 2 years. That is as good as it gets in the NFC. I think Tampa Bay is going to take a big leap next year.
And then the time is to be determined. But you finish the season against me at Gillette Stadium.
So, hypothetically, knowing that the NFL is kind of scripted and didn't even put a time out there, that means that this game will most likely decide which team makes the playoffs. And I'm a hopeful guy. I'm going to have the Dolphins making the wild card as an 11-win team, obviously not winning the division. The Pats make it too, because Lord knows the Bengals ain't making no wild card. So I got Dolphins with 11 wins this year.
Okay.
As a hopeful Dolphin fan.
Slightly delusional, but yeah, sure.
I'm gonna go into my Cowboys, and I'm gonna say we finish with a 12-5 record. And I'll tell you. So week 1, we're gonna be at Lincoln Financial Field playing the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we lose that one to start off the season. Then we're at home against the New York Giants. I think we win that one. Then we're away at the Chicago Bears. I think we win that one. And then we're at home against the Green Bay Packers. I think we lose that one at home. And then we're on the road against the New York Jets. I think we win that one. Then the following week, we're on the road against the Carolina Panthers. I think we win that one. Then we're at home against the Washington Commanders. I think we win that one. And then we are on the road against the Denver Broncos. I also think we win that one. Then we're at home hosting the Arizona Cardinals. I think we win that one. Then we're on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think we win that one. Home against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we win that one. So a little home and home here. The Eagles beat us over there. We beat them at home.
Big winning stretch.
Thanksgiving against Kansas City. I think we lose that one. Then it will be back-to-back losses because we go on the road and face the Lions, and I think we lose that one. Then at home against Minnesota, I think we win that one. Home against the Chargers, I think we win that one. And then on the road against the Commanders, I think we lose that one. And then we finish the season on the road against the Giants, and I think we win that one. So I'm going to go with a 12-5 record for my Cowboys.
Oof.
That's a big win streak you have in the middle of the year, though.
Yeah.
Is Dak up for MVP at this point, or
we're gonna be just fine, Brandon. Worry about Tua and his jiu-jitsu classes. Jonka, your Patriots.
All right, someone's gonna have to.
Hey, get ready to hear this. You want to hear delusional, Brandon? Get ready to load of this guy.
I mean, our schedule's kind of favorable. Not gonna lie.
This guy's gonna have him 18-0.
I wish. We start off the year at home with the Raiders. That could be sneaky. Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Ashton Jeanty. But I think we have the better quarterback, so I think we're going to win that one. At Dolphins, that one's always tricky at home, especially in the sun early in the year. That could be a flip. I'm going to give it to the Dolphins for now, but we'll see what happens because there's still players still available in the free agency. Anything can change. We go to play the Steelers at home. As of right now, they don't have a quarterback, so I'm taking us. That's a 2-1. We'll play the Panthers. They can be sneaky, but I don't believe in Bryce Young too much, so I'm going to say 3-1. At Bills, loss. At Saints, W. So I don't know if you guys are counting. At Titans, I think Mike Vrabel's going to want revenge on the Titans, so I think we win this one.
Okay.
At Browns, I think we beat the Browns.
Okay.
The Falcons, since it's at home, I'll say W, but this can be another flip or flop because even though we have improved, the Falcons they have a decent team. At Buccaneers, we lost. We lost that game. We're losing that game. Jets, I think we beat the Jets. At Bengals, the Bengals as of right now are hot garbage. Besides Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, Shamar Stewart and Demetrius Knight and Trey Hendrickson have still yet to be signed. And I think that is going to carry into their defense, and they're not going to have anybody. They won't be able to stop anybody. So I think we beat the Bengals at Bengals. I think we beat the Giants. I think we beat the Bills at home, so we split. We lose to the Ravens. We beat the Jets, and then we beat the Dolphins. I don't know what record that is for
13-4.
13-4?
Yeah, New England going 13-4.
Bro, but look at the majority of the teams, bro. They're like legit below 500. We have the second easiest schedule in the league.
Maybe so, but you said so. A win against Buffalo.
We split.
And then you're saying the same thing where you don't think the Jets beat out New England.
No.
Then you split the Dolphins. And let me just get this right. So you think that you're going to go through Cincinnati and all these different teams, and your only 4 losses would have it Miami included, Buffalo included, Atlanta included, and Tampa?
Tampa, the Bills, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Bucs.
You didn't mention the Ravens when I don't think you mentioned the Ravens.
Yeah, we lost. I say we lost to the Ravens.
Look, I just know that, again, great team. I love what the roster they've done, especially after the draft. We're gonna have to see it on the field, man. Because when you're talking about New England, it's like there should be an easy pickup for the wild card, if not the playoffs, and being running with the division.
Tell me, just based off what? Let me think. Do you think we beat the Raiders week 1?
No.
Look, I think that right now it's too early for Pete Carroll and them, so I think you guys do beat them week 1. Week 1, definitely, I'll give you that.
I'm gonna skip the Dolphins because of bias. Do we beat the Steelers as of right now?
Probably. I like the defense too much. That's the
thing.
With
no quarterback.
Even with no quarterback, I'm telling you right now, even if it's Will Howard starting week 1 or whatever it may be, if they, not saying they will look at Rudolph as the saving grace of Steeler football, but that's going to be a hard team to beat. I just don't think of Mike Tomlin Steelers roster, especially where the defense is at right now with Watt in them. I don't think you just slide in a win there.
No, I don't think it'll be. The only thing I slided it is because of it's at home, and as of right now, we don't know who's going to be the starting QB. If it's Aaron Rodgers or whoever they announced, Will Howard, then maybe it could be closer. But as of right now, I have it as a W. These can change. Yeah. I heard the Steelers are trying to get Chris Olave from the Saints.
We're just gonna have to see. We're just gonna have to see how it all plays out on the field. But with that, that's going to conclude our episode for tonight. We hope you guys have enjoyed episode 185. There will be no episode next Monday as it is Memorial Day. We hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. And as well, this upcoming Wednesday, we have another plugged-in episode that's being filmed with Anna Rocket. She plays in the Irish Women's Professional Soccer League. So that's going to be a great interview. So that'll be out sometime next week. We're filming it on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And as always, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Support the troops.